So when we understand that that is how to test our love for Allah, we must test our knowledge of, we must basically follow the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And to really follow him, we must be at either the second level, which is when you know something, right? You can't really follow something you don't know, or someone you don't really know, right? And that's the difference in the Maliki school between hadith and sunnah. Many people nowadays, they say, oh, we're people of hadith, right? And what is a hadith? A hadith is a statement or a narration about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 60-70% of the time, or even more, those hadith don't have the context, right? They don't have the context of that statement, but you just hear the statement. And we know in language, in linguistics, that if you hear a statement, you need three things to understand that statement. Number one, you need to know the speaker and the state of the speaker, right? If you don't know the speaker and the state of the speaker when he was saying that, you will misunderstand the statement. So for example, if I come into this class and I say, "Assalamu Alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, ladies and gentlemen," right? For example, that statement might work in another gathering, but it doesn't really fit sometimes if you say ladies and gentlemen in a class, right? In a class of Muslims, you probably would say brothers and sisters, and so on and so forth. But you would have to know the speaker and the state of the speaker. What state? Was he laughing? Was he joking? Was he serious? Right? That's the first thing. The next thing is you have to know the audience. Who was he speaking to when he said this? Right? Who was he speaking to? Was that message just for that person, or was that message a generic message that can be taken by anybody? Right? And then the third thing, what context was he speaking to the person? Right? What context was it? And we give an example where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one day, someone came to him, one old man came to him and gave him a bunch of grapes, right? Gave him a bunch of grapes, and then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he ate one of the grapes, and normally he would share the grapes, right? He would share amongst his companions, but this time he didn't share it at all. He kept on eating it. The old man was waiting there until the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam finished eating all his grapes, and then he was so happy, and then he left, right? And then the companions asked afterwards, they said, why? You normally would have shared this. What happened? He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the grapes were so bitter that he knew none of you would be able to endure the bitterness, and he didn't want to make him feel bad. So he just ate it so that, you know, if any of them they would have spat it out. But he knew, and he didn't want him to feel bad. So if someone narrated a hadith that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ate grapes alone and he didn't share it, right? Then it might be a part of a hadith, but the context is missing. Another similar hadith, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was sitting in a group eating with his companions, and an old man couldn't hold it in, he farted, right? And then he said, they were eating camel, he said, anyone that has eaten camel meat should go and do wudu. This is a hadith. Anyone that's eaten camel meat should go and do wudu. Now, context, he didn't want to embarrass the old man, because everybody smelt it, but nobody knew who dealt it, right? So he didn't want to embarrass the old man, so he said everyone who has eaten camel meat should go and do wudu. There are some scholars that still think that camel meat breaks wudu. Not in the school of Imam Malik, because we look at the context and the holistic aspect of the hadith. So everybody went to do wudu, but it's understood from that actually it's because of this man.